A quick video on learning curve using the Kaplan's Performance Management Test for Understanding number 10 on page 349. That's the question, or that's the background before the questions. It's a series of multiple choice questions. The first question is, what's the price for the second bike produced? Here I've got the information down for the first bike, and that's how I did it on my spreadsheet. Once I'd got that down, I was able to identify the 50 hours needed, which is where the key to this whole question lies. The learning curve, as we know, is y equals ax to the power of b, and so for the time for bike 2, we'd use the formula, so we get the cumulative average time for 2 bikes, and then multiply it by 2 to give it the total time needed for 2 bikes, and then we deduct the time needed for 1 bike, and that would give us the answer. So here we have it, using the formula that you are given in the exam. Log 80% is log 0.80 divided by log 2, and here is the workings, and the final answer is minus 0. Well, it's often rounded off to 322. Anyway, I've left it in because it came from a spreadsheet, so it's a much fuller number. So working through, I found my cumulative average time, or my y value, is 50 for 1, which is exactly what we've been told, and is 40 for 2, so that's the cumulative average time. If you then multiply those average times by the number of bikes being produced, you get 50 for 1, and you get 80 when you've got an average time of 40 and you're making 80. So then the difference is 30, and that tells me the extra time needed to make bike number 2. 30 hours for bike number 2. The materials remains the same. Fixed overheads is 200% of the labour cost, so it just, that's gone down as well. And then we've got the profit added on, and we get the answer 2,280. Average price for bikes 3 and 4. Okay, so we go through a very similar process. 4 bikes, time needed for the first bike, A, 50 hours, 4 bikes being made, B value, giving us a y value, or cumulative average time of 32, multiplied by 4, a total of 128, and the difference between that and the total time for 2 is 48. So it's going to take us 48 hours to make bike 3 and bike 4. In they go. We've got 2 bikes, so obviously materials is doubled, and then just work through, and it gives us the 2,064. This is the average price for bike for the first 8. So this is assuming that the first bike is sold as part of this package. It isn't subsequent bikes over and above any that have already been made. This is the very first 8 bikes. Bikes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So down the bottom we've got the time taken for the first one is 50. We're making 8. The B value, that gives us a cumulative average time of 25.6. Multiply that by 8, gives us 204.8 hours for all 8. We put that in. We have 8 times the material requirement, and then we go down. It gives us a total selling price, I suppose, or charge of 16,972.8. We then divide that by 8 to give us the selling price, the average selling price per bike, and round it off to the nearest whole dollar, 2,122. And then the learning rate. Well, because it was the doubling effect, I was able to use the routing approach, and there's been 1 doubling when we went from 1 to 2, a second doubling from 2 to 4, and a third doubling from 4 to 8. So we would use the third or the cubed root of 45 times, well, of the answer to this divide sum, which is the cumulative average time needed for the total time required for all 8 divided by 45 times 8, which in our case gives an answer of 0.422 pretty much. Cubed root of that is 75%, and it means it's a 75% learning curve. Hope you found that useful, and a couple of ways of getting hold of me. And if you are looking for classroom-based classes, then I run them in both Arundel and in Brighton. Thank you very much, and goodbye.